This is day 4 of learning German in 30 days to an A2 level. Today I spent a lot of time actually just watching content, specifically Nico's Weg, which follows the story of a guy who loses a bag as he lands in Germany, doesn't speak the language, and has to figure his way. That has been very instructive so far, and I have like a lot of takeaways. And so actually here are some of my first impressions from being a language learner for the last 4 days essentially. So some of the stuff that jumps out to me is like the pronunciation debate about German, like the way that the language is supposed to sound, like really aggressive and stuff. Some people say that, other people say, well, of course it sounds aggressive if you scream it and if you shout it. I'm kind of in the middle. I do think there are some ways that some of the pronunciation is, I don't know, like the word schlecht is not poetic. It's not like super flowery or whatever, but generally it's probably given a bad rap. But it can sound good for sure. This is definitely beating a dead horse, but the gender thing is pretty insane. I come from a French background and there are 2 genders there. That's already very confusing for learners, as I know. But adding the neuter or the neutral form is an additional step in difficulty. When I was learning Spanish, there are 2 genders as well there, but I think it was kind of easier because a word usually ended in o or a if it was a noun. And, for those, you kind of knew if it was el or la, with very few exceptions, and those exceptions were pretty tough. But here it's pretty tricky. So, I imagine it's a very long road until you feel confident with them, and just like a sort of an exercise where you have to figure it out eventually. But, I suppose you can kind of ignore it for a little bit. It just sounds really bad, but you get your point across, but we'll see. False friends can be a little problematic. Learning how to say who and that being wer is insane because that should be where, but it's not, and that's unfortunate. And also also does not mean also, it means so, which kind of mean the same thing, but they don't. So that subtlety is frustrating, but those are just details. There's also the thing about how German words can be super long, and I kind of got a glimpse of how that's possible because I saw the word Traumfrau, which is Traum means dream and Frau means woman or girl. So it's girl of your dreams, Traumfrau. And so I kind of can see how you can keep adding words and make them very long. I also learned that there's different dialects of German that are spoken even in Germany, not even like Austria or Switzerland or whatever else. And those different dialects can be like mutually unintelligible. Like you just can't understand each other. And the German that people learn is Standard German or Hochdeutsch. And that apparently is getting standardized across Germany. Like most people can speak kind of both, especially if they're younger due to social media and stuff like that. So, we should be safe, and it's a good news for us, but I didn't know it was that crazy. Like, France has a pretty standardized language across the territory, which I kind of took for granted, but it shouldn't be. Same thing for English, super standardized. I wonder why. But German and Italian and stuff aren't the case, and that's kind of fascinating to me. And the last thing I'll say is the sentence structure, probably very notably, is very, very unusual to me. Like I can understand it if a sentence is like jumbled. It's not actually jumbled, but to me it's jumbled. Like with the verb being in all kinds of different places, like, too early or at the end of the sentence if there's a modal verb. It seems to be pretty crazy stuff. I have no idea how I'm going to figure out how to like be able to create these sentences without having to like think about the grammar rule. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to just express it kind of naturally. So I'm very curious to see like if I'm going to be able to do that for more complex sentence structures within the next few weeks. Honestly, pretty excited about this. Making some progress, but it's an ambitious goal. We'll see. All right. See you guys tomorrow.